Okay, we're in. Hey team, so this is how we're going to be doing trainings from here on out, because I realized that we'll go over some content and we've got a little crew in here, so they'll be making comments, but anyway, we go over good content and then I realized we're not able to relay that information back to you, and right now we're in the most exciting time of this business's history, so we've got to make sure that we're all dialed in and that the culture is very strong. A couple things I'm going to touch on before the training. Training today is going to be on the law of averages, but I just want to touch on culture in general. So culture is either created by design or default. And in a lot of ways, we've defaulted the culture just because, you know, it's a relaxed environment, it's very cool, but we've kind of defaulted to not going as aggressive on the work as we need to. And so our mindset, I think, has been right. Speed to lead's been good. Calling and texting people. Speed to close has been good, okay? Like, we are going all in every time we're going for closes, and that's been a nice, refreshing change. But I think something that's still not being adopted as well as it should or could be is when we are sitting down and we're working, we're working. So typically a 50-minute on, 10-minute off schedule is what we're adopting. And if you're only in for a couple hours, I know that's tough. But just saying, all right, I have the discipline to sit down at my desk and give everything I have to calling and texting people, okay, for 50 minutes. We need to be doing that. So it's something that we're all going to focus on. Effective immediately, because I think that it's something we can do better at. And you guys don't have the luxury of a sliding door, so you've got to be really careful. There's a lot of great things to talk about. Frustrations with school, obviously, is the number one topic in this office, I know, so chill out on that. Chill out on Smash Bro Talk. And when we play, right? We play hard. Second change that's going to happen, I think that the bombs have been good, but for the call center floor, it seems like they're distracting a little bit, and it's like, sometimes I'm seeing recordings go 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And that would literally be like me standing in front of this camera and then saying, you know what, actually I'm going to stop this, we're going to do it again. I'm going to stop this, we're going to do it again. And it would be 6, 7 o'clock before we'd finish this meeting, and that's not okay. So just understand, as you guys are having those experiences with customers, they don't really care if the video's perfect. In fact, they almost like it not to be. But in the meantime, I'm actually not going to have you guys bomb anymore. I'm just have you call. I'm going to have you text every single person that you can. And I'll explain why. I just think it's an efficiency thing. I'll explain why when we talk about the law of averages. So those are the two changes. One, really adopting the 50-10. If you are in the call center and you're at the call center floor, you are working. It's time to work. All right, we leave everything else aside. When you are taking a break, you break hard. All right, make sure it's a hard break. If you want to leave the call center floor, go hang out somewhere else, that's fine. But we can do better at that. And then once again, second change, bombs are, we're probably not going to do those as much. The leadership, the executives or whatever, yeah, we'll bomb people, but I feel like it's just interrupting the flow. And even when you take 10 in text and 10 in call and 10 bombs, it just seems like it interrupts the flow. So, any questions, comments? We good? You good with that? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, guys, let's get into law of averages. So, what's really nice about this group is a lot of you are, I think everybody actually is religious, so that's good. I like that I can just kind of say it how it is with you guys. There's two ways to look at this. People who are not religious, I always tell them that there's principles out there that if you live by certain principles, you receive the benefits that are associated to those principles. You receive the consequence, if you will, right? But we know in Doctrine and Covenants 130, it's blessings for living by principles that were established when this earth was created. And one of those principles, like a law, is the law of the farm. You reap what you sow. If we plant seeds, and that's why I'm so, obsessed with this idea of taking 50 minutes, working hard, really being all in, because if we're all in, then we get to reap what we sow later, okay? We get to reap those seeds. The law of the farm suggests you can't go out and plant and harvest a crop in one day. That cannot happen. There's a lot that goes into it, and that's the same kind of thing with developing sales skills and developing relationships. It takes time. And as you live those principles, you get the benefits. Another one of those is the law of averages. Any successful company knows down to the penny or down to the second what's happening in their business. They know exactly how time is being spent. It's all tracked. There's metrics involved. And it's something that we've been a little bit lackadaisical on, but not anymore. All right, we are introducing this idea of tracking our metrics again. We did it with RAs, ACs, and SSs, but with this call center, there's other metrics that we could track. On your missions, you did this as well. These are key indicators, all right? You know these key indicators. Our key indicators for this will be, our first is going to be calls and texts that are made. And so we'll count those together. It'll be a CT. You don't have to necessarily put these. In fact, I don't want you to post these, because if you post these, it's going to be crazy. We're only going to post ACs and closes, right? Am I missing that? Cool. But we're gonna, on these, calls and texts are gonna happen, and you're gonna have a piece of paper, and you can leave it however you want. This is how I do it. So when I'm on the doors, and now back in my office, I make them in this format, the classic format, okay? And just every time you complete a call and a text, you make a note. Boom. 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 Okay? Next thing that we're going to establish is conversations. I don't know how you even want to write this out, but I mean, yeah, convo sounds sweet. So let's say of those, you've sent texts out to 5, you've called, you've left 5 voicemails, you haven't talked to anybody yet, but 2 of them text you back, and now you're engaged in a conversation. So there's 2 there. And what's nice is we can then start to say, okay, we're gaining a ratio, and ratios are what we're looking for. Because if you have a ratio, then you can work on it. You cannot improve if you don't have a ratio. Okay? It's all guesswork. And admittedly, everything we've done for the last few months has been pretty much guesswork. It's worked. The Lord has blessed us, and we're grateful for that. But talking about stewardship, okay, and the guy with 5 talents who turned those into 10 talents, he had ratios, I guarantee it. Okay? He used those. So now you can say, okay, I have a ratio here. I know 2 and 5 is my CT to convo rate based on, and you could even break this down by list, right? We could break it down by list, based on Freedom list, based on our, Quentin's list, based on Ivan's list. We have a 2 of 5 ratio here. Okay, so it gives you an idea. And for sake of math or whatever, we'll say you do 10 conversations and 5 of them have turned into conversations. So you're 50%. You're killing it. Okay? You can also say, all right, my first 50 minutes, and you can take these by time, and they should be. They actually should be tracked by time. So the 10 to 11 block, 11 to 12 block, 12 to 1 block, 1 to 2 block. Like we should have these blocked out. So write that down. Have these blocked out. Yeah. Because then you could say, hey, this is my 11 o'clock block. Okay, it looks like this. I was able to get through 10 CTs, and then you gotta beat that, right? In the next block. So I'm at 50%. That's a good ratio. Now, how about the ACs? How many of these am I actually turning into a great lead? In other words, you have a power bill. You can build something. You're going to present, and you're going to go for a close on these. And so let's say on these you have 2. And then of those, because close is really what matters, you've closed 1 of them. So now you know, hey, my 11 o'clock block, this is what it looked like. All right? And obviously ACs and closes are going to come a little bit after your blocks, but at least you guys can be tracking what you can track. And you can control what you control. And that's a very important principle in the law of averages, is controlling the controllables. Okay, there are things within our control, and we've talked about this with that circle analogy. There are things in our control, and there's things that are not. But we need to make sure that we are controlling the controllables. In other words, your attitude, the amount of CTs that you get. You might not be able to fully, determine who answers their phone in the day. I get that, like that happens. But you can determine if you're going to have a bad attitude about it. I've called 20 people, no one's answered. I've stopped leaving voicemails because they're not answering anyway. It doesn't matter. That's a bad attitude. And that's something that you can control. You can control ratios. You can control your attitude. Okay? Then you know, okay, boom. Now here's my ratio. And then you can say this. I need to make $100,000. So you can work backwards. This is what I love about the law of averages. It is now something measurable. You can say, all right, I need to make $100,000. So your earnings, I don't even know how to spell earning anymore. I think that's right. Earning, right? Earning. Hope that's right. If it's not, Okay, sweet. So I need to make 100 grand, and you can say, if it takes 10 CTs for 1 close, and this is probably going to be a lot higher, right? For some it won't be though. But let's say it's a little higher. It's going to take you 50. That's fine. You at least know it's going to take that amount of effort to make a close. If a close is 500, and so you would need 200 closes, right? So how am I going to get 200 closes? I'm going to work backwards. And in this example, I needed 2,000 CTs to make 6 figures. And you can even determine by how many days that's going to take. If you're able to get through, X amount per day, you can determine that. And that's what I love, okay? You're going to know your earnings. This is really, really freaking important. You're also going to know if you've got a really great list in front of you. We can determine what lists are the best. So I'll just say list quality. And this is important as well because you'll know, All right, I'm usually the guy that can close 1 in every 35 CTs. I can do that. That happens every time. But with this list, I'm at 60. I'm gonna work a little harder. I'm gonna increase my efforts. I'm gonna make that happen. Or the other is true, and it goes, I can do it in 13 on this list, and then you know you've got gold in front of you. And you should be like hungry dog, going as hard as you can on that list and getting as much as you can out of it, because that's gonna be where you earn more money, because it's an above average area or list, all right? So it's very important. This is what all the experts do, even in door to door when people are knocking doors for a living. They do this stuff. I always tracked it as I knocked, and it made me a lot better. And Ian did it as well, made him better. Like everybody who has succeeded in sales, they do this, because if not, then it just feels like you're spinning your wheels and you're not going anywhere. But with this, you can actually see, okay. And what's nice is too, we can train on what needs to be different. If you're sending out 100 CTs and you're having 5 conversations, we need to work on that. That's a 5% ratio. We can work on increasing the productivity here. If you're only doing 10 CTs and you're killing it, but you're only doing 10 and you could be doing 20, then we know your effort is lacking, and we need to up the effort. We know it's mindset problems if the closes aren't happening, right? If we're not getting bills, if we're not getting ACs, we can find that. So that's our new system. We're going to be doing this. As far as implementation, how do you want to do it?
I was thinking about that. Well, we can do a lot of this just on timesheets. So when they put in their hours, they can put in what they can during the day, and I can make a spreadsheet for that. It would be easy for them to fill out. As far as individual times, like the 11 o'clock block, that'd be harder to do.
We should make them a worksheet and just have printouts, so when they go to their desk, they could have like a
printout.
Yeah,
I have a sheet.
maybe something like that.
Okay.
It's an idea.
Okay.
We'll have stuff.
We'll have something for you.
Yeah.
But I hope this principle makes sense to you guys. It's one of the things that has made me the most money, just because tracking is important. And even like what happens behind the scenes, we've still tracked, and we know mathematically, all right, this is what it takes to make X amount of money for the company, and it's what we're doing. So that's really it. We're very, very excited to roll this out and continue to up the level and make it so that we're getting what we want to get. I know everybody on this video and everybody in this room like wants to be 6-figure earners and have a great life. And so this is where that begins. And in any business, if you're not doing this, you're losing. So you're welcome for this advice. This is what millionaires use. And I appreciate you guys more than you know.